Hello gamers and welcome back. I'm Rob, of course, or Warshack if you want to call me by my in-game name. Today we're going to be doing our deck guide on the Dragon Tempo Warrior. Very interesting deck. A deck that's actually changed quite a bit over the course of its existence. It once started out with just Tempo Warrior, then we've added dragons, and now we actually have added pirates. And we'll kind of get into that in a second. For those of you who are new and are unfamiliar with how we do our deck guides, we normally talk about the deck list, why I have what I have in here, the synergies that we can obviously see just from looking at the deck list. And again, I kind of talk about each card briefly and why it's in there and then the number. From there, we go into some ranked games where we play on ladder, and I kind of explain the deck. I explain, basically what we're doing, the motions that we're going through in the game to beat our opponent. Most of the times we pull, anywhere between 3 to 4 wins. Worst case, we go like 3-1. Best case, we go like 4-0. But during those games, I think the insight is what's most important. Obviously, from looking at the deck list, we can pull, just synergies that we can see. But once you get into the games, you really get a better grip of the deck and how it's going to perform. And it's good matchups, it's bad matchups, the mulligans, and yada, yada, yada. So with that said, let's head into the deck list here. Let's talk about it, and then so we can get into those ranked games. So first off, like I said, this used to be just a tempo warrior deck, and then we've added dragons because dragons are just really strong with Blackwing Corruptor and Twilight Guardian. But then now with the most recent expansion, Mean Streets of Gadgetzan, which added a very strong pirate, Patches, and Small Time Buccaneer, this deck now not only has a very, very strong early game, it has an incredibly strong mid game, and we actually have been able to tweak it to the fact that it actually has a fairly strong late game, and we can even have it, even give it a stronger late game if we feel the need to, and it wouldn't really sacrifice that much. So, with looking at the first couple drops, we have 2 N'Zoth's First Mage. Because this isn't normal Pirate Warrior, we actually need these guys, not only to bring out patches, but to summon a weapon, which combos well with the Small Time Buccaneer. If we don't have the N'Zoth's First Mate, or at least just one of them, which I teched in, I played with one of these guys, and then I played with 2, and it felt like I didn't have enough weapons. Even just having 4 weapons in the deck sometimes isn't enough for the Small Time Buccaneer. But definitely 2 N'Zoth's First Mate, I think, are very important to the deck due to the early game rush. First of all, it's a pirate, and the sooner you bring out patches, the better. You do not want to draw that card at all. Like drawing patches is like the utmost worst thing that can happen in this deck, period. So that's why these guys are in there. The patches, I'm not going to explain this guy. This guy is just unbelievably unfair if you just don't have to draw him. He's just a free 1/1 from the deck, and you could be saying, oh, that's not that great. Well, yes, it is. You'll see. If you play with patches, you'll understand how broken he is. For those of you who haven't played with patches yet, you just don't understand. But patches is... you be patching your opponent up. All right, so Sir Finley, this is an interesting... a lot of people tend to like the Finley or not like the Finley. I like the Finley because the warrior hero power of gaining 2 armor doesn't necessarily do anything to help you win the game. It's merely a control hero power. And in this particular deck, we're trying to win the game, and we're trying to win it pretty quickly. So this allows you to not only be able to change your hero power to what you want, it also combos with a card down here, the Curator, because we know drawing into Sir Finley, like let's say both players have no cards in their hand, and we're both top decking, and I top deck Sir Finley. That feels pretty bad, while my opponent top decks like a 4-drop 7/7. The Curator says I'm going to pull a Beast, Dragon, and Murloc from your deck, which means if you can happen to play the Curator before you draw the Sir Finley, it reduces the, it doesn't reduce, it gets rid of the possibility of drawing Sir Finley because he's the only Murloc and Curator is going to pull him out. So I've had a lot of games where this guy's come in super clutch, and that's why there's the 1 Murloc, plus he's just good as is. The Small Time Buccaneer is an absolute staple. This card is insanely powerful. Pulls out patches, combos well with weapons, and is basically a 1-drop 4/3 if you have a weapon out because he gets +2 attack. Alexstrasza's Champion, a really good 2-drop. It has charge, and if you have a dragon, it gets plus an additional attack. If you have a dragon, it gets +1 additional attack and charge, and if you don't, then it's just a 2-drop 2/3. So you definitely want to play this when you have a dragon in your hand. Most of the time, you will have a dragon in your hand due to the fact that there's 2 Twilight Guardians, there's 2 Azure Drakes, there's 2 Crushers, and there's a Deathwing. So there's quite a few dragons in this deck, and then most of them are later in the game. So hopefully you'll definitely have those in your hand when you're playing Alexstrasza's Champion on 2. The 1 Execute, I found that playing no Executes puts me in a bad situation if I'm playing against a Shaman, which we've seen a lot of Shaman on ladder. We're talking maximum Shaman overloadage. So with that said, killing a 4-drop 7/7 is yeah, amongst the utmost importance when one of those is played. So at least being able to deal with one huge creature. Again, we could get rid of execute and throw in like a rag or something like that. But I think just one execute to kind of play it safe is fair. I would probably run 2 executes if they cost 1 mana, but because they nerfed it, I think 1 is just enough right now. Plus, if you're playing against like a pirate warrior, execute will do you nothing. The War Axe, this is just a staple. It's like the best weapon in the game. 2 mana, 3/2 weapon, can kill basically anything your opponent plays in the early stages of the game. Fierce Monkey is in here because, first of all, he's a 3-drop 3/4. The stats are there. He has taunt and he's a beast, which means your curator is going to pull one of these guys out. We always know the curator is going to pull a dragon, but making sure it gets value with the Fierce Monkey and the Sir Finley is pretty important. The Frothing Berserker is found in many, many tempo decks, whether you're playing pirates, whether you're playing minion-based pirates, whether you're playing of course, the Dragon Tempo Warrior, just the Tempo Warrior. It's just a fantastic card. Like, if your opponent doesn't kill it, you win. Because it says whenever a minion takes damage, gain 1 attack. And as we know, there's a lot of battling on the board. There's a lot of minions taking damage early on in the game, and this guy can just become incredibly overwhelming, which I'm sure in one of the games that we play, we're gonna win to like some Frothing Berserker shenanigans. Like, the card is like too good in my opinion, but of course we're gonna play it. Ravaging Ghoul. We don't actually have to play Ravaging Ghoul in this deck because we already have 2 really solid 3-drops. So we could probably replace this with something else, maybe like a Bash if we really wanted to. But for the most part, I think Ravaging Ghoul is really cool because it synergizes well with not only the execute, but it kills a lot of the people deciding they want to run some early game pirates and it deals with some of their early game. So as good as Ravaging Ghoul used to be, he's still good, but you definitely can make replacements for him. Like, you could throw in like 2 slams if you wanted. You could throw in a Bash and a slam. You could throw in a Bash and a rag if you're facing a lot of control decks. So there's a lot of tech ins with this deck that you'll find that depending on what you're going against, some cards will shine more than others at particular times. The Elite, definitely a staple. He's the 4 mana 4/3 with charge. Basically is your if you have the option between like Twilight Guardian and Elite on turn 4, most of the time you're going to go with the Twilight Guardian because you want your Elite to, because he has charge, you can attack right away, which means you make the decision. But if you're like attacking and your opponent's at like 25 HP and you bring him down to 21, that doesn't really mean too much in the early game, because then your opponent can react to like killing this guy with anything that does 3 damage, which a lot of cards do. Meanwhile, if you play the Twilight Guardian, you can deal 3 damage. Your opponent might use some like damaging abilities on that. It doesn't kill it. You drop the Elite, you make a trade, good things happen. So I'm sure I'll explain that later in the deck guide. The Twilight Guardian's absolute staple in the deck. It is just so good. It's a 4-drop 3/6 with taunt, and it's a dragon. The card is absolutely insane. So very good. There's not much to it than that. It's just really good statted. It's a dragon. Does wonders. The Azure Drake, this is normally when you're playing, well, this deck used to run maybe slams or bashes or blood to Icors because the +1 spell damage with the Azure Drake made those cards very, very powerful. But in this situation, there's really not enough room to fit all that in there because with the addition of the pirate package. So like the 4 pirates in the deck that you would see here, and that would be my replacement for like, the slams, the other execute, maybe a bash or something like that. But because the pirate package is in here, there's no reason not to run it. It's too good not to. So Azure Drake doesn't shine as much now when there's not as much spell power in the deck, but he's still good because again, he counts as a dragon. He does give you +1 spell damage still, so if you need to I swear there was a card in here. I lied. There's no card in here that does with spell damage. I lied. Yeah, you just need to draw a card and he's a dragon. Sorry Azure Drake, you really just anyway. You can't get around playing Azure Drake though. He's a really good draw mechanic and he's a dragon. There's not any other 5-drop that really fits that spot. The Blackwing Corruptor is one of the main reasons why this deck runs dragons. Not only are the dragons powerful, but the dragon synergy cards are powerful, such as this guy. It's a 5-drop 5/4, so the stats are pretty decent. Not the best, but they're decent. And it says if you're holding a dragon, deal 3 damage, and 3 damage is roughly worth 2 mana. So you're basically getting about 7 mana's worth from this guy, and you don't actually have to. It's like all in one, right? So this guy can make trades. He can go face. It's just a good card as is. The Crusher, a lot of people have toned this guy down to just 1 in the deck and replaced it with something else. I still like having 2 because summoning 2 6-drop 9/9s just feels really nice. Most decks can't deal with that. Plus, he's worst case scenario is a dragon 6-drop 6/6, which is still sizable, right? So this is just a fantastic card in the deck. Very, very powerful and it's basically your 4-drop 7/7 of the turn 6 play. the opponent has 15 or less health. The Curator, this is your draw mechanic, this deck, because it doesn't have the slams and the shield, or the slams and the shield blocks, and Alkalite Pain. We need some form of draw. The Azure Drake does it okay. So basically, you're curving out. You're playing 1 to 2 cards a turn. When you hit turn 5, you're Azure Draking, allowing you to get a little bit of gas going. And then from there, hopefully you can draw into the Curator, which will draw you 3 cards. And then Sir Finley will basically give you a hero power that either lets you draw more cards or you finish off the game, right? So the deck doesn't necessarily have to have a bunch of draw. The Curator and the Azure Drakes theoretically should be enough along with the Sir Finley. And sorry if there's a little echo in the background. My mini fridge just turned on. But since we're almost done, I'll go turn it off once we're finished up here. The Hellscream is kind of too good not to put in any warrior deck. The fact that you can attack, and whether you're attacking into his Azure Drake, a Tomb Pillager, anything that has 4 HP, you're killing it. He enrages. He has 10 attack. He probably still has 5 to 6 HP left. Your opponent has to deal with him. You also can combo this guy. If you get like the Mage Hero power on turn 10, you can just play Hellscream, ping it with your Mage Hero power, and then go face for 10. You ask, how do you get a Mage Hero power, Rob? You're playing warrior or retarded? No, we have Sir Finley Mergleton in the deck. So sometimes we'll be able to get that Mage Hero power and pull off combos like that. But either way, Hellscream's kind of, this guy can, if you don't have Hellscream, Rag does kind of the same thing, but not really. But it's, you know, it's a solid 8-drop replacement. And then we have Deathwing, which is a kind of funny tech in, right? Deathwing is a card that's going to come in either really, really clutch or he's going to fuck you. So it's going to be a card that you're going to draw in your opening hand and you're going to be like, oh, I wish I didn't have Deathwing in my hand. I wish I had any other dragon or any other card that I could have played and I might have won. But in some other situations, you're like, there's not a single card in the game that's going to be allowing me to kill this entire board of creatures. And then you top deck Deathwing, and then you win the game because your opponent doesn't have a card to deal with a 12/12. And by then, if you're playing Deathwing, if you're playing Deathwing, it's already past turn 10 or at turn 10, and by then you've done probably a decent amount of damage, putting them most likely below 12, which gives them basically a 1-turn countdown before their death. So they have to have basically the instantaneous removal on Deathwing, and if they don't, they die. Plus, he synergizes well with all the other dragon cards in your deck, such as the Twilight Garden and the Corruptor. And the champion. So with that said, we've talked about the deck list. We've talked about why I've got in there. From here, we're going to head into the actual games, and those should be good, and hopefully we can pull off some sick, nasty wins for you guys. So let's head over to that. So heading into our first game here, we are going against a mage, most likely going to be the Reno Mage, which is very, very popular right now. If it's Tempo Mage, I still don't really mind it because it's not a bad matchup in my opinion, but I would have to say that the Reno Mage is a little bit unfavorable for us due to the fact that, of course, Reno Mage is one of the stronger decks on Light right now, but it's one of the one of the strongest decks on ladder right now. I like Sir Finley in our opening hand, to be honest, because we can get a Warlock hero passive, hero power, which is important. And the Frothing Berserker I really don't like in this particular matchup because it really doesn't do too much early on in the game. If we were playing a more like against an aggressive base deck, it could be helpful because it has a lot of HP for 3 mana. But unfortunately, we're not, so it doesn't really do too much. So Sir Finley is going to be good. We're looking for Warlock. We don't get it, which the second best would probably be Shapeshift, I suppose. A lot of people go for the dagger, but I don't really. I think Shapeshift is it'll be a good pick. So this kind of confirms that it's going to be the Reno Mage. I guess hero power swing, or we could just go face. The thing is about going face, this is still gonna it's gonna heal us anyway, right? So is there a really purpose to go face, or should we just make trade and force him to ping next turn, and then we can just Fierce Monkey? Or we just go face and then he just makes the trade on his own and then we have to hero power it down. So I suppose we just make the trade. There's no point not to. So we're gonna go to 29, he's still at 30, we heal for 1, he heals for none. Then he's gonna ping this Sir Finley, then we play the Fierce Monkey. He could either Roaring Torch or he could Arcane Intellect. He also could develop his Ice Block, which would be kind of scary. Hopefully we just draw into a dragon, which we did, so we're going to be able to play the Twilight Guardian on curve. The main point of this deck, and well, in this particular matchup, is to be able to start off fast and to keep the pressure going, right? But unfortunately, the biggest pressure we had was Sir Finley, and that's just not enough. So I guess we're just going to Twilight Guardian and go face. It looks like he played his Soulcaster knowing that he's not going to need it this game. Normally you'd play this in the value matchup and convert either your most likely Kazakis or your Reno back into your deck. But unfortunately, so coining into a 5-drop Drake. Yes, sir. All right, so our best draw would probably be not a corruptor. What was our best draw? Probably a weapon of some sorts. But unfortunately, we did not draw said weapon. And unfortunately, Blackwing Corruptor doesn't do anything on this board state. So, like, if we damage one of these guys, we would have to attack it, and that just feels bad. We don't have enough room for a hero power in there. So we almost want a Blackwing Corruptor and just go face. Because all the trades look bad here. Like, the only thing that we would maybe think about doing is Blackwing Corruptor and then trade our Twilight Guardian to it. But that's just like 6 damage going into a 4/4, and then this halfway dies. Then he could basically attack and Volcanic Potion. If we go face, he trades this with the monkey. This goes to 1. Arcane Blast does more, so I guess we have to attack it, right? As bad as that feels, it's something that needs to happen because of Arcane Blast and Frostbolt. Both of those very, very bad. At least now if he Frostbolts, he has to ping, which means he's not developing. So there's the Torch. That would have not killed that, but then there's the trade. So we're going to be able to play the other Corruptor, which will be quite nice. Or we could decide to go like Ravaging Ghoul, but I don't think we're going to Ghoul because this going down to 3 doesn't make sense. Though, however, this going down to 3 could not be the worst thing in the world because we developed 2 creatures. And this like is going to overkill it, right? We could Hero Power and just Fierce Monkey. It's always an option as well. Actually don't like that too bad. I like conserving this guy's 3 damage. Because, like, he already has 7 cards in his hand, and I can see something not so great coming out. And we also can combo this guy with Execute, right? So if he decides he wants to play, like, a sizable minion, not that, you know, he has one, but he could definitely play something like that I don't like, and then we could just go Corruptor into Execute and take care of that. But we're leading into Flame Strike turn, which is really not the best turn to be doing that. So I guess we could go with the Frothing Hero Power Execute. Plays right into Flame Strike, but I don't think we have a choice. Don't think we have the most choices here. So we're just gonna hope he doesn't have Flame Strike. That's what it comes down to. Like, even if he has Reno, it's okay, because our board state's still okay. But Flame Strike is definitely something we do not want to see. That would be a negative Ghost Rider. Ink Master into Flame Strike? That I take that back. I was gonna say this is so much worse than just Flame Strike, because not only did he kill the board, he was able to develop a 5/5. Okay, so 3 doesn't kill it, and I guess Health Scream is the best option besides that. We just push face. Nothing really else to do here. He's gonna look for Reno or Ice Block for sure. If he had Reno, the Ink Master and then Blizzard was the play. So Dirty Ratting out Deathwing, which feels terrible. He's gonna Mind Control Tech Deathwing. Ooh, he didn't Mind Control Tech Deathwing. That's good. This is good stuff. This is good stuff. I had a bad feeling about that, but now we just need to draw a dragon so Corruptor can get some value. Frostbolting the... Okay. Alright, so there's definitely some good trades on the board to be made. As long as we can kill this, we can win. So this, actually, can we? Sorry, my brain's a little fuzzy here. Yeah, so we just go like this, yes. Yes. We just needed to trigger either one of these guys. Fantastic. Mind Control Teching the Health Scream and or... The Health Scream would have probably been the worst, right? Because then he could have pinged it and attacked Deathwing. Ooh, that would have been so bad. But, you know, Mind Control Tech, man. That card fucks me up so much. That's probably one of I would have to say I lose to Reno or Kazakis a tidbit more, but Mind Control Tech is surely behind those cards. The card is absolutely insane. When it rolls high. Alright, so playing against a Shaman. So we played against a Mage, now we're going against Shaman. Kind of getting a variety package, which is nice. Sometimes we almost always go against Shaman, which feels really bad. I really don't like anything in this opening hand, to be honest. We're just looking for our N'Zoth First Mates, our Small-Time Buccaneer, making sure we don't draw into Patches. That's part of the skill in this deck, is making sure Patches is not in your opening hand. So, feels good. So now we can Rusty Hook. By Rusty Hook, I mean, N'Zoth's first mate. And do we attack with this weapon? I don't really think so. Because we don't have, there's only the 2 weapons in this entire deck. So it's not like Pirate Warrior where you've got like a variety package of weapons, right? You just have like this huge arsenal of which weapon do you want to use and upgrade. But in this deck, it's not really that straightforward. So I like conserving these weapons for the most part, because dealing 3 damage over the course of whatever turns isn't worth it, because that's basically 1 charge of Fiery War Axe. That this could be used to pick off creatures, because Warrior has a hard time dealing 1 damage to stuff if you don't have Ravaging Ghoul in your hand. Any 3-drop would be fantastic. So this is one of the issues with the deck, is when you get like a really intensely slow curve, right? I don't mind using 1 charge phase here. But it's just, it really sucks when this deck does not get the 1. We got a 1-drop, but not a 2 or a 3, which there's a lot of in the deck, by the way. Okay, so Jade Spirit. So we're going against a Jade Golem Shaman, which should be okay theoretically. We're just gonna play the Guardian, which is the biggest card in our hand, basically. The Charger is nice, but it's always gonna have charge, right? So I'd rather play this card, which directly contests the Jade Spirit, because if we go like Elite and attack, he can just Maelstrom Portal. And then if he doesn't attack, which normally you wouldn't because there's no point to, he wants me to make the trades, we can just go ahead and Blackwing Corruptor this next turn. But we do have to be careful of Elemental Destruction, which is quite a card. Okay. So, wow, he's actually going to go ahead and make the trade for us. This is really nice. That's really good for us. I appreciate that. Because now we can Blackwing Corruptor the 2/2. We can make, well, I'm just going to kill off this totem. I think he has Lightning Storm, but at least he has a lesser chance to roll into the Spell Power totem, which will deal the additional 1 damage, which could kill this Corruptor. He also has a, if he like rolls totem and gets like Maelstrom, that'd be really bad too. That would actually clear the entire board, because it would do 2 to everything, which of course kills these, and then it would bring this down to 2, allowing the weapon to trade. So we're just going to hope that doesn't happen. We're going to hope that we can at least deal 3 damage next turn. We can play the Crusher into the Curator, and it's just GG no rees from there. We've had some pretty poor luck the past couple days. Oh gosh, Lightning Storm. So we're going to hope it does not roll high on, again, the Corruptor. I guess it really wouldn't matter, because it's going to die regardless. What? He went face? What? Why would you do such a thing? Is he trying to bait this 9/9 out? I mean, there's never a time in the world we don't play it, because he's overloaded. He's at 4, which means even if he hexes it, that this 5/1 is still gonna live, unless he like does that. I guess that was a way out as well. But we still have. I'm pretty sure we still have lethal, right? Because this would be 8, 9, and then this is 13 exactly. So. I know we had the War Axe as well. So that was without any creatures, but he really didn't do much either. But again, if you're gonna play like a slow Shaman deck, it's gonna get punished with these decks that can just curve out a lot better than it. Like, so let's say he goes against like a Druid or a Priest, his deck will do just fine. But unfortunately, when you're playing against Shaman, Rogue, or like a tempo-based warrior, or even a Dragon Warrior, for example, you're just gonna get steamrolled, which is kind of the downside of the Jade package. Not if you draw well, though. Any deck that draws well into their curve has the potential to beat, of course, the deck that doesn't draw well into the curve. So we're going to be going against a Priest. So in this matchup, it's actually, I don't really mind it too bad, because a lot of the cards in our decks are dragons, which means that his abilities don't really, his Dragonfire Potion and things like that doesn't really kill the board, so I'm not really scared of overextending with cards like Azure Drake and Twilight Drake or Twilight Guardian, stuff like that. So we're just gonna N'Zoth's first mate. No reason not to. Pull out again patches. It's very important that we like get patches out of our deck as fast as possible. That is just, it is such a bad draw on this deck, and unfortunately we drew into like our 2 highest minions in the deck, and by our 2 highest I'm literally talking about these are the largest minions in the deck. So it looks like the curve is treating us well, though. So we're top decking all the answers. We actually have a good 4-drop to play here. So ideally, we just need our 3-drop to play. So we're looking for probably either an Elite or a Azure Drake or a Twilight Guardian. These are we need a 4-drop or a 5-drop. And then from there, we should be able to curve out pretty nice. But Azure Drake is probably the best draw in the next 2 turns. Berserker's fine. We're just gonna push face. It looks like this guy has a slower curve. I don't really mind attacking once with the weapon later on, because if we draw a war axe, we'll be overriding it for the most part. So our weakest, or his best play would most likely be coining into the Excavated Evil or the Dragonfire potion, which would be extremely. Excavated Evil would actually buff this guy up, but leave him at 1. But Dragonfire potion just kills everything. So he's gonna coin, which means we're not really scared of on turn 5 coining into Dragonfire. This is slightly annoying, but you know, still we can deal with it. Unfortunately, we did not draw a 4-drop, so we're gonna have to drop another Berserker. So now the options is, do we make trades or do we go face, face, face? And I think we're gonna go ahead and make the appropriate trades, to be honest. Question is, how are we gonna do these trades? So we could trade here, trade, attack. This thing becomes like astronomically huge and we swing face. I think that's probably the plan. Right? That looks like the plan. Like, that's just too big. Too many things take damage, and it forces them to have an answer. Like, this is just too much. Like, look at this thing. It's gonna be giant. It's gonna be big. It's gonna be able to crush whatever wall he brings. Oh my god, look at that. This thing's a 9/4. I feel like I'm playing Miracle Rogue right now, and this is my questing adventure. Like that, now I know what Miracle Rogue feels like, right? Like, how would you deal with this? Shadow Ward Pain. You'd have Power Ward Shield. I mean, that's not gonna save you, but I suppose it'll help. There's a Shadow Ward Death, but that's still not enough, because even if he trades, this goes to 11. Like, even without a 4-drop, we still in it. Look at this thing. This thing is fantastic. I promise you that this, like, for those of you who might be like, oh my god, this guy's so lucky. We were actually rank 1 2 days ago. We actually dropped from rank 1 all the way down to 6 in a matter of 2 days. We lost over 20 games in a row. So I did, like, trust me, there's bad games. There's bad games. We've gotten fortunate with our opponent not having kind of exactly what they need to defeat us, right? Because like a Shadow Ward Pain would have destroyed our early game, allowing that not to basically happen. So I'm gonna get rid of the Ravaging and the patches, but the N'Zoth's First Mate and the Buccaneer are always nice. So as long as we don't draw into patches, that's great. Deathwing, as bad as it is in the opening hand, at least it's a dragon activator for all the other dragons, right? But these are probably our 2 weakest cards right now. Like, Execute's never going to get utilized until at least turn 5 or 6 when he dragon operatives. And then, of course, the Deathwing, if it was any cheaper dragon, it would be a little bit better for us. But still, it's all right. So we'll start with the Buccaneer. I mean, we could even go... I think Buccaneer by himself is okay, right? There's no point to coin the N'Zoth's First Mate yet, because we kind of want him to use Shadow Ward Pain on this. So next turn's most likely Alexstrasza's Champion coin N'Zoth's First Mate, based on what he does. If he does nothing, then we do it. And if he does something, we probably do it. So there's the Shadow Ward Pain. This is exactly why I held back the coin on the Alexstrasza's Champion. So now we actually are, that's why I held it back for now, because now we don't actually have to coin out the N'Zoth's First Mate, because having the weapon doesn't change anything, which means we can coin out the Elite next turn. And as we know, the Priest can't really do anything with cards with 4 attack, which is really nice. And then turn 4 comes around, maybe we can draw like a Twilight Guardian. So that feels pretty good. Okay, so we could swing. Okay, so this is a bit interesting, right? There's a couple things we can do here. We're gonna bring this guy out. And now the question is, do we trade, keep this guy healthy, or do we trade into here and then just keep these guys alive? But the problem is Potion of Madness, right? So if I attack into here, right, and then this guy's at 1 HP, this is at 1 attack, he Potion of Madness and kills this. So we can actually play around Potion of Madness by just killing off this 1/1 here and keeping this 4/3 healthy. And Potion of Madness is a card I've been seeing a lot of priests play. So that's the only reason I'd make this particular trade at this time, is to play around that Potion of Madness. But normally I would put the damage on the Elite, because he has no way to kill this. Okay, so double Historian, which means that he's contesting this 3/1 if we don't make this trade. The War Axe can kill one of these guys, but not the other one. So hopefully we can draw something swaggly. No, that doesn't do it. All right, so I like preserving this 3/1. So we're gonna go ahead and keep this 3/1 alive. I'll keep you healthy. This does, however, play into Holy Nova extremely hard. So we're going to hope he doesn't have Holy Nova. I guess if he has Excavated Evil, that's pretty bad too. Anything that kills this board. Operative created by Historian, which means we can Blackwing Corruptor, swing our weapon, keep the board, or we keep the weapon and swing the 3/1. That is the question. It's like, how much do we want to play into Dragonfire Potion? Because none of these guys are dragons. Unfortunately, we have not drawn El Dragano package. So, we know this goes here 100% of the time. So do we trade here, keep weapon, or do we throw away the weapon? I suppose we force him to have the Dragonfire, right? So if he doesn't have the Dragonfire, we win. But if he does have the Dragonfire, we're gonna be in a little bit of a situation unless we can draw the yeah, this is why it was merit to keeping that weapon. At least this is still pretty good, right? So we just double monkey. So now we're gonna hope he doesn't have another Dragonfire, because that would really suck. So our best top deck is an Elite, maybe, right? No, it's a Curator for sure. Mini fridge just turned on. Hold on 1 second, guys. Mini fridge, mini fridge. You're getting turned off, mini fridge. Uh-oh. That didn't sound good. All right, so suppose we just go through it on this. The weapon swings here. We'll go ahead and kill this so he can't kill our monkeys, and the monkeys go in, and we now have lethal for next turn. So we're gonna hope again, no AoE coming from him. We've already seen 1 Dragonfire. Most of the time they only run 1, but I've seen it to the upwards of 2. This lives with Holy Nova, this lives with Excavated Evil, and then we still have a really good amount of top decks in our deck. So Power Word Shield feels bad. Please don't top deck Shadow Word Pain. Oh god, I feel like a Shadow Word Pain is in my future. Oh god, he got the champion. He chooses not to attack with it. Okay, well, Hero Power Sir Finley happens. That was probably one of the worst top decks. I mean, Fire Blast is the only thing, right? So we're definitely gonna override. So how much damage do we have here? We have 4. This sucks. We actually have to trade everything in, if I'm not mistaken. Well, we could trade, yeah. So do we trade here or do we just go face? I think we just go face. There's no way that we don't go face. There's too many top decks that are lethal. Because right now it's 4, he has to heal, putting him at 6, which means we have 4 right here. So if we draw any damage whatsoever, we draw an Elite, we draw a Corruptor. If we draw Champion, that's unfortunate. So yeah, this is rough. Berserker's good. There's maybe merit to ping and swing, putting this at 4. So we'll see if it pays off. We could have put this guy at 4 attack by pinging and then attacking with our weapon. And then he couldn't Shadow Word Pain this, which means this would be a guaranteed 4 damage, which means he would, if we top deck an Elite, then we could have won. No, because then you would be at 8 and you'd be at 10. So that wouldn't be enough either. All right. But the problem with Deathwing is Shadow Word Death. That's just a card that'll wreck us. And you know he has it. Oh man. Maybe we can bait it out. I mean, if that's not gonna bait a death, I don't know what is. Alright, so I guess we would ping. So if we ping, this goes to a 4. But it depends which one we ping, right? We'd probably ping the Drake, or we just ping face. Probably not face, because pinging the face doesn't matter. It's not going to buff that guy. So if this goes to 5, what does that do? If this goes to 5, what does that do? I suppose the taunt then, right? No, the Drake, because the Drake can trade, putting him at 1, and then we would ping it next turn. So we ping the Drake. Because this being at 5 doesn't matter because we don't make that trade anyway. So this is going to get Shadow Word Death. He makes this trade putting it at 1, which means we can ping that next turn. So I want him to play like another creature and a Shadow Word Death here. Good. And now we played Deathwing. And as long as we just don't want to draw Curator. Alright. Alright, so please don't have Entomb or the other Shadow Word Death. I think if you had Entomb, no, you wouldn't have used it because you need to fill out the heal. So alright, Deathwing, carry me to the soaring heights. Just don't get Shadow Word Death, buddy. Oh god, he just drew Shadow Word Death. I know it is. It's this card on the very right. I think this deck guide is going out with a loss, but we got in some good wins. Oh shit! Deathwing did it! Hey, Lamau Deathwing, good job, buddy. Good job. A+, A+. Alrighty, so that was 4 pretty quick wins in a row with this Dragon Tempo Warrior. You kind of got, again, the breakdown of the deck at the beginning there, and then what I think of it now that we've played it. Some more insight into kind of what to look for, the plays, and overall pretty solid deck in my opinion. It's a little bit different than I think some other Pirate Warriors, whether they're running the Executes, the Slams, the Blood to Icors, the Ravaging Ghouls. They even run the Curator package. Some of them pulled the Curator, they put Malkarok. Some don't run Crushers, they run Bookworms instead. So there's a lot of different ways to build this, and I think all of them are good. So test them all out. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, of course. I'm Warshack, and happy whatever the hell day it is.